along, because like I said, you guys are going to be making your own commercials next week, and then you're going to be making your tag for your arrangement. So when you're talking about marketing, when you're talking about marketing your items, advertising your items, there's 6 things that you need to keep in mind that you need to consider. The first one is the demand for the product to be produced. Is there a demand for it? Do people need it? And if not, why are you making it? Right? If nobody is going to need it, if there's not a demand that people are going after, 1, why are you making it? But 2, if people don't naturally know that they want it, then you're going to have to do a whole lot more advertising, right? Because you need to convince people that they need it. So the demand is going to very much so affect your marketing and your advertising strategies, because you have to, if they don't know that they want it, you have to convince them that they want it, right? Example, Charmin toilet paper last year probably had to do 0 advertising, right? Okay, I'll give them to you after the end of the school day. Okay. Example, Charmin toilet paper last year, right, did not need to advertise because there was a very big demand for toilet paper, right? People knew that they needed toilet paper because the world and social media was telling them that toilet paper was running out and that they needed to get toilet paper. So Charmin probably saved thousands of dollars if they were smart, because they didn't have to put ads on TV to say, hey, go buy our toilet paper, right? Because as long as it was on the shelf, people were going to buy it because social media was telling them that the world was out of toilet paper. And then you needed to go get as much as you possibly could, right? So if they were smart, they would have cut all of their advertising right there and been like, okay, take it away for us, pandemic, you got it. And saved a ton of money. I was going to say a butt ton of money, but Charmin toilet paper, it's a bad joke. Thank you for that. The supply of the product already available is important as well. So is it on the shelf? Do you have it there? If it is available, then how much do you need to advertise based on how much it is there? The third one is types and availability of markets in the area. Types and availability of markets in the area. So what type of markets already exist? What type of markets do you need to create a market, right? Do people know that this market exists? Do people know that this item exists? Do you need to advertise to create that market already? Is there already an existing market there because there's some competition, and so you really just need to advertise for your brand? You know, that kind of thing. And with that, competition from similar products. So number 4 is competition from similar products. So if I am the owner of Suzy Q's, right, and let's say that I have a branch in Cardington and I have a branch in Westerville, all right? If somebody in Cardington wants ice cream, where do they go? Suzy Q's. Where else can they go?
That's it.
That's it. There's no other option for ice cream, right? Maybe get a Klondike bar at the gas station, but McDonald's ice cream machine is always broken, right? So your option is to go to Suzy Q's. So if I have a store in Cardington, but I have a store in Westerville, is there other places in Westerville to get ice cream? Yeah, there's a Grater's on the corner, right? There's a frozen yogurt place down the road. There's all these other places. So if I am Suzy Q's and I'm I'm working on a limited advertising budget, then where am I going to put all of my money to advertise?
The Cardington.
Why?
Because you make more money there than you do. Oh, no, you're going to have to pay for your house.
Yeah. So I'm going to put all my money, all my advertising budget, right? We're just talking about advertising right now, nothing else. I'm going to put all of my advertising budget into my Westerville store, right? Because the supply and demand and competition in Cardington is already working for me, right? There's nowhere else that people can go for ice cream. So they're going to get word of mouth and they're going to go to Suzy Q's. In Westerville, I want to advertise my deals. I want to advertise my flavors to try and get them to Suzy Q's as opposed to Grater's or Orange Leaf or whatever else it is. Make sense?
Yes.
So your competition determines where you're placing your advertising funds.
Can you repeat number 3? I'm sorry.
Types and availability of markets in the area.
How about 2 and 1?
So, one was demand
That's it.
of the product to be produced. Yeah, demand for the product. And 2 was supply of the products. that you have to consider when you are creating marketing, when you are creating advertisements for your company, is the buying power of the intended consumers. Buying power of intended consumers. And what buying power is do they have the power to buy? In Cardington, what is the buying power of consumers for Teslas? Not much. If people do have the money to get a Tesla, and I don't mean that in a bad way, right? But if you have that much extra money, in Cardington, you're probably not spending it on a Tesla. You're definitely not spending it on a Lamborghini, because have you ever driven on Cardington back roads? You're going to tear off the whole entire bottom of the car, including the seat, right, as soon as you go over one of those potholes. Cardington is fixing up the roads. They're very nice. But literally my first year here, I thought I could go 55 down these back roads. And at one point, I thought I went down into China and back up because the potholes were so like, so, a Lamborghini, not going to do great in Cardington for the back roads alone, right? There's not there. So the buying power can be one of two things. Can people afford it? And do they want to afford it? Do they want to spend the money that they have on that product? So what is the buying power of the consumers? Do they have the ability? Do they have the desire? The last and sixth thing to consider when you're marketing is the seasonal, the seasonal variations in demand. So if I have a ski and snowboard shop, okay, I am probably not going to do all of my advertising in June, because example A, I am a consumer of ski and snowboard stuff, but in June, your girl is sitting poolside with the big reflector that you put in your windshield on a hot day, trying to get her tan on, right, and ignoring all of my problems. So I'm probably not thinking about the snow, right? Have you guys seen that TikTok where it's like the old people and they have a balloon, it's like a little kid, and they're like, yeah, hey, and then like the other, maybe I have it, and they're like, no, and they're like, yay. Okay, I've got a different TikTok apparently, but on the cool side of TikTok. I am a millennial. Thank you. I'm offended. But the seasonal variations, in summer, you're not going to sell any snowboards, because even the people who do snowboard aren't thinking about snowboarding, right? You're going to watch your snowboard people and your ski people here in like a month, within the next month, you're going to start to see commercials on TV for Aspen Ski and Board and Polaris saying we've got our 60% preseason blowout sale, right? Because it's enough ahead of the season that the demand isn't super high, but it's close enough to seasonal to the point where people will actually maybe buy it because they're thinking, oh, I am going to need that soon and this is a good deal, right? Also, right at the end of the season, they do seasonal closeouts to try and get rid of all their old models. And people are like, hey, I just snowboarded on this really crappy board all winter. I need to get a new one while they're cheap at the end of the season, right? Same thing goes with like your Christmas decorations, your Halloween decorations, all that stuff, is that they go out before the actual holiday because that's when people are going to buy them. But you're not putting Halloween decorations out in April,
Is that
right?
like when there's like a big baseball sale, like or school baseball, kind of like in the
Yeah, because people are starting to think about it, so they're going to have the big sales to try and get people to buy the old season stuff before like it's actually in peak demand. So they advertise it right before, so people. Well, they do sell the new stuff too, but yeah. So the main thing when you are advertising is that you are going to focus on the consumers. All right, you are going to focus on the consumers. You have the right to sell. You have the right to produce goods, but there's also the right to refuse to buy. All right, you have the right to sell. You have the right to produce goods, but there's also the right to refuse to buy. So just because you're producing something does not mean that they have to buy your product, right? And it doesn't mean that they will. So your advertising and your marketing is where you overcome that, where you make people want your product, okay? So these are all things that make sense, right? It's kind of you've heard of like applied math, applied science. This is applied common sense, right? Every year at the end of the year, people take the business like web exam test you guys have to take at the end of the year, right? And they're like, oh my gosh, that's the easiest one I've ever taken. And it is because it's all common sense. You just don't know it's common sense until you know about it, right? Like that sounds confusing, but like it makes sense, logical, but you're just, until you know how to think of, or that you need to think about it, you don't really
thought about it until you learned about it. So now it's common sense.
Right.
No.
That actually was a really good.
All right.
Yeah. when you're looking at your, perfect. When you are picking your consumers, okay, when you're trying to appeal to your consumers, you're trying to appeal to something called your target audience. All right, you're trying to appeal to something called your target audience. And the way that you do that, I think maybe I gave away.
You will be given
I didn't hear any of that.
the people who will be given deliberate exposure to the product.
Yeah, that's your target audience. Yeah. So the target audience is the target audience are the people that you are targeting, right? If I want to sell pink unicorn rainbow Heelys, do you remember Heelys, like the
Oh my God,
roller
they still
blade
have
shoes?
them? I almost
Like
bought
Joe.
them.
So if I want to buy pink unicorn rainbow Heelys, who is going to be my target audience?
Joe.
Dylan Minturn and little girls, right? So yeah, it's perfect.
Oh yeah, real good too.
Little girls coming back for face shirts.
But
Just wait.
my target audience, so if it's little girls, little kids, what am I going to do in my advertisement to appeal to that target audience?
Color.
Make them glow.
Lots of colors. I might make something glowy,
Like Twinkle Toes.
like twinkle toes. What can I do in like a commercial?
If they have
A little catchy like jingle or something to go with it.
Okay, what's that gonna do?
Like it'll like remember them.
Get stuck in their head.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you put it, this is a great example, you put a catchy jingle in there that's easy for a kid to remember, right? And then the kid is jumping around in the kitchen singing, I just want a Heelys, I just want a Heelys, I just want a Heelys. And their mom is saying, shut up, right? But you make the kid remember it to the point where they say it over and over again, and then that kid is advertising to the parents who are actually gonna buy it, because they won't shut up about what you have stuck in their head. So, all right, listen to this really quick. So you advertise, you point the advertisement to the little kid, but then you make it stick in their mind enough that they bring it up to their parents all the time, right? If it's just a bland commercial, the kids aren't going to remember that they want it. If it's something that seems really appealing, they're going to remember and then they're going to talk about it. So that's going to work for you. The other thing is, where might you play a commercial like that?
Disney Channel, Nickelodeon.
On Disney Channel, on Nickelodeon, right? All those different places that little kids are going to be watching, right? So you are exposing the audience that's already focused on that TV channel, and you're exposing them to your product. Make sense? So to figure out your target audience, you need to do some research. And if you guys have ever seen like customer research-based studies, is they're trying to figure out really basic information about you for advertisements. So these are the consumer demographics, and you can put these in that blank space right there. Some things that companies are gonna wanna know to build their advertisement is the population density, how many people are there. If I put a,
Girl.
Wait.
what?
What's our target audience?
Population density. Who are the customers? How many customers are there? Right? What their preferences
No, that's
are.
consumer demographics.
Okay, never mind. Sorry.
So that next blank, the things that they're going to look at, what those consumer demographics are, or example of those consumer demographics, the things that these people are doing these studies on. Sorry, I don't have one of those papers in front of me. I gave mine away. Is population density. So if I play a commercial to Cardington versus if I play a commercial to Columbus, where are people going to see more? In Columbus, there's a greater population density, so it's going to be viewed by more people for the same price. Ethnic makeup of the population, if you can appeal to specific cultures, if you're trying to appeal to specific cultures, what ethnicity, what cultures are you appealing to? Family income, do they have the ability to pay for this? Family size, right? In Grandview, which is a suburb of Columbus, that's a really hopping place for young couples and single younger individuals to live. So there's not a lot of young families there, because once you have kids, they kind of move out of that area. So I'm not going to advertise these Heelys in the newspaper that goes to Grandview, because those people don't have kids. They might have a niece or nephew they would buy them for, but the family size in that area is not great enough for me to invest that money there. Eating preferences. So this one sounds really funny, but there's a psychological deal, and this goes back to ethnic and some other things too. Clothing preferences, styles, recreational preferences, because if you guys know what those people like to do, even if you're not advertising, we talked about eating preferences, even if you're not advertising for Pepsi, right? Let's say you do a consumer-based study where you find out that 70% of the population prefers Pepsi over Coke. So in your commercial about your Heelys, you've got the little kid holding a Pepsi. That's a relatable factor for these people. They say, wow, I like Pepsi too. That person's holding a Pepsi, right? It's like if you guys ever watch the TV shows like Heartland or like Friday Night Lights or those types of shows, right? Those are shows about smaller rural towns, high school kids, right? There's things that you relate to in there. So you like that show more, right? If you're a football player and you watch Friday Night Lights, it's appealing to you because it's about your sport. It's about something that you like, right? So you want to watch it. So in a commercial, if you know the clothing trends for a certain area and you happen to dress the actors that you have in your commercial in those clothing trends that the people you're trying to appeal to wear, then they're going to relate to that commercial more, and they're going to say, wow, I dress like that. I drink that Pepsi. I, live in an area like that. This is just like me. Maybe I do need this product. And it's a psychological game that you're playing with people when you do that. Other things you might consider: who makes the buying decisions in the household? Is it a woman-run household or a male-run household? What's their occupation? Do they travel for work? Do they work in their community? Because if I've got a restaurant, right, and let's say I have a restaurant in Sparta, and I know that 90% of Sparta travels to Columbus for work, I'm probably not going to advertise a lunch special because people aren't in Sparta for lunch, right? They're in Columbus. I'm going to have a dinner special, or I'm going to offer a takeout and carry out option on Wednesday nights for some big deal. So right at 6 o'clock when people are coming home, I'm going to have this big takeout thing, and these people are commuting back from work can pick up food, right? So knowing those habits. Huh? I mean, if you think, let's say they work until 5, let's say they have a 9-to-5 job, and it's an hour commute back from Columbus, so they'd probably be passing through town around 6. So we'll talk about the 2 types of advertising and marketing strategies on Tuesday, and then you guys are going to make your own advertisements.